Today is Saturday, April 13th, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 46, Week 7.
2 shows a week, recap Wednesday, listener feedback show Saturday. We hand it over to the super fans, check in with them, see what they thought of this last episode, how the season so far is hitting, and what, if any, predictions they might have going forward, because lots of us playing in the fantasy league need help with some prediction, because this last week was rough.
It was.
For some, not all, but for some.
Yeah, not for everyone, but it certainly was for me.
Yeah, it definitely.
I had a 3-pointer.
Out of a possible 7, yeah, to come back with 3 is kind of rough.
Did you have 3 too? Oh, that's right. You had Soda Safe too.
Yes.
We both did.
Yep. It was just that kind of week.
Yep.
Good for some, as we shall hear as we proceed, and not so good for others.
Well, good on you.
Mixed bag. Anything we need to cover before we jump in? Looks like
we'll do JSFL at the end.
Okay, yeah, we'll cover that because it was a little complex scoring there. So we got just an update for that if you haven't had a chance to pop by. Got 19 super fans checking in this week. Let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, I am shell-shocked. What an awesome double boot, and the Yami 3 somehow holds strong. So I'm going to let out a great big woo! Bam! Wow, man, wow. Well, I'd be remiss, guys. I think Stacy and Joanne, you guys said in your show last week, I mean, with the players divided up there into 2 teams of 6, Yami got luck of the draw as all 3 of them ended up drawing the same team and controlled the vote of the first tribal. And to boot, one of them was immune. Kenzie. There you go. The littlest one on the team. Hunter didn't even win it there. And he did have an idol that would have saved him there. And I give Hunter credit. He trusted those 3, and it paid off for him. And the idol is still with him. Very powerful. And see you later, Tim. Now, I don't know if he saw it coming or not. I was worried it might be Ben, especially with the way Q was talking and the edit showing Tiff and Kenzie deciding on which way was best to go. I don't know that you could have trusted Tim, though. I think what hurt him was wanting to getting rid of another Nami person and wanting to keep Seeger strong. You want to keep your numbers intact, and I think getting rid of Tim was the right call. But where will Ben flip-flop to? Because now there's only him, Maria, and Charlie with Green. But who knows? Kenzie might have something good with Ben there, with that shot with him at night when he had a bad nightmare there. So keep that in mind. Now, the other tribal now, Soda, wow. I really, really thought Venus was going to go home. That woman has dodged bullet after bullet. Lucky that yellow team won all those challenges. And Tevin somehow keeps tolerating her. Don't ask me how. But Soda, I get it. She was a good social player and who could fly under the radar to the end there. Whereas Venus has shown her cards. And honestly, Venus actually could be a good goat at this point, too. Then again, you still can't trust her. But Soda didn't see it coming there. I wonder if she'll be bitter as she is on the jury. That could be very interesting. Gotta hear her interview for sure. How shocked she was and if she's hurt by it. But wow, the Yami 3 is staying strong, though. But Q better watch out, though. Kenzie and Tiff, how much more are they going to take? And his cards have been dealt, too. He's a drill sergeant. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes next week, if Hunter's on the chopping block. It could be anyone, really. Honestly, I think Kenzie's in a good spot with Tiff, and Liz is in a good spot with Tevin. Tevin. She's flying under the radar there. But right now, I think it's going to be Q Hunter, Venus, maybe Tevin. I mean, we shall see. Should be great next week. And this is an awesome episode, though. Now let's hear the interviews, because there's no Ponderosa. Take care. Woo!
Thanks, Pete. Both Tim and Soda said in their interviews that they were indeed completely blindsided and shocked. Soda seemed to take it in stride, and she moved on. I mean, she got the better end of it, obviously. She went to Ponderosa. She's the queen of Ponderosa now, welcoming everyone who's going to join as the game proceeds. And she said she took that very seriously and had a song prepared and made sure that she got food in them quick and was there to answer questions. And so she was excited about her new role in that regard once she did some processing of her own. Tim was hurt and bitter, and seemed to somewhat remain so, even making calls when he saw things in the episodes as he was watching along as the season played out. So yeah, he said some things in the Gordon Holmes interview where Gordon he just asked about each remaining person that they've had interactions with to give a one-word response, and he had one in particular for Q that struck me as odd. Maybe it was just kind of a joke or whatever, but it could be viewed as more intense too. I don't know. He didn't handle it well, didn't process it well, said he was mad and angry as he got back. He did have a special update for Jen, and that he mentioned that he was finally able to poop just before he got on the plane to head back.
All right.
So I wanted to make sure to get that in for Jen. Okay. What else did they have to say? Anything interesting? No, neither one of them was reading what was going on well, I will say. Tim definitely had some misses. He didn't understand. He still didn't understand why people made choices that they did, given what we've seen, where, from this extra bit of information. And Soda just wasn't tracking things that well at all. She was oblivious to some parts of it, and she was working towards a different end. So that was part of what was going on with her blind side. Good stuff. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I thought that overall this was a pretty good episode, although I'd much rather once the tribes are merged to truly stay merged instead of immediately splitting apart into two teams and then voting separately. To me, that just kind of defeats the purpose. For the challenge this week, it was funny how differently it played out than the last time, where people are literally being thrown off the platforms due to the water. At least it lasted a little bit longer, which made it more interesting. And it lended itself to some of those more comedic elements that we saw this episode. But I think as far as endurance challenges goes, it's one of my least favorite just because it doesn't last long enough where you get some of those really gutsy performances where it's mind over matter. But still, I thought that was alright. For JSFL this week, I had Tim and Venus as my vote outs, so I thought I was sitting in pretty good shape until Tevin threw the target on to Soda. And unfortunately, I had a save point on Soda. Even though I knew she'd be potentially vulnerable, I really wanted to get one extra save point on Soda, so I decided to play boldly this week, and it didn't pay off in that way. And I'm not sure it's going to pay off for Tevin either. I think that Soda was an Alliance member he could count on. Now, whether he felt that way or not is hard to know. I'm not sure how much of it was him thinking he couldn't rely on Soda or just wanting to make a big move, but they're going into their very first merge vote as a complete tribe, and I feel like Soda was a number he could have counted on. I don't think you can count on Venus for anything. And I predict that next week I'll probably put Venus as my vote out because I think she's somebody that everyone can agree on. Next week's episode looks pretty crazy, with Hunter making a spy shack and something wild happening at Tribal Council. My guess is that Q either says something outlandish or Venus does something outlandish, but I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I wanted to mention, as far as my favorite player this episode, I think anyone that changed or stuck with Kenzie as their USB, I think she's my guess for the winner pick this season. I stuck with Tiffany, but I was going to go with Kenzie at the start of the season. I think she's playing a great game, and she's my prediction for the winner of the game. I look forward to hearing all the other fans' feedback, and that's it for me. You guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's got a good chance.
Well, she's been featured as a sentimental favorite now because of the being there for Ben when he had a hard time.
I liked her much better after that. Really.
You're supposed to. It worked.
I know.
Check. Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
It's Rebecca calling from Northern California. Finally, I believe, out of the basement with the blessed week several, in which I received several points, as in 7.
Nice.
This episode left me with a lot of questions. One of them was, Tim, you had a rock-solid alliance. Why did you not want to stay with it? It was so easy. All you had to do was vote with your alliance. You, Hunter, Tiffany, Kenzie, and Q. Y'all would have voted together. And he's out. I had a suspicion going into this week that Tim was going to be wishy-washy about the +1 alliance, which is why I chose him as one of my vote-outs. Another question, Venus. Why did you think you orchestrated that blindside? Don't you remember nobody wanted to discuss anything with you before Tribal Council when you were trying to talk to everyone and Maria and Charlie literally were like, we're good. Charlie said he'd play the shot in the dark. Maria said she didn't want to work with you. What was the whole pat on the back thing? Like you were responsible for it, because from where I was sitting, you didn't have anything to do with it. I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. Is she going to get a smackdown? Are they not going to say anything? I find her fascinating because she's just so darn out of touch. And again, I'm having the cringy moment, wondering what's it going to be like when she's watching it back, going, oh, I actually had nothing to do with that. That was done without me. So why did he put a vote on Venus? Was that just in case of somebody playing the shot in the dark? I wasn't sure. I hope so, because I don't want him to be out of the loop. Okay, I chose my new USB, and I went with Tiffany. It was a real toss-up. I was really unsure whether I was going to choose Maria or Tiffany, and like literally down to 3:30 until I couldn't go on anymore and change it, I was vacillating back and forth. There's so many good people to root for. Hunter and Tiffany and Kenzie and Q, Q-ish, and Kenzie. And I think Maria has a real shot to win, but I just wanted to root for Tiffany a tiny bit more. One quick aside, with all these amazing personalities and players in the game, again, it makes me wonder why so much time was devoted to Banu. I still don't get it. Not going to understand that for a while. I'd love to hear who everybody else went with their new USBs. Joanne and Stacy, you said you went with Hunter. I think he's amazing and probably the best player out there, but because of that, I don't think they're going to let him get to the end. I'm glad Soda's on the jury. Gosh, it was so emotional with both Tim and Soda leaving in tears. That's probably how I would go out, crying hysterically. Oh well, here comes the rain in Northern California, and I'm making soup, having a nice chilly day. I can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say, and happy Saturday, everyone.
Thanks, Rebecca. Definitely raining here on Saturday where we are. It's an all-day rain.
I wouldn't know. I slept most of the day so far.
It's good, catching up on some much-needed rest.
Yes. I think, though, Rebecca might be overestimating Venus's ability to watch it back and actually see anything different.
Right, yes.
I mean, I could see her just go, right, see, I told them. They finally came around.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I kept going back and working that hard and trying to tell them. So they came through in the end.
Yeah.
Did what I told them to.
Exactly. Look, they finally came around just in time to do the right thing.
Yeah.
The way I was guiding them.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my survivor friends. So this season, it seems there's a lot of mascara and eyelash extensions, lip gloss, beautifully shiny hair, and not to mention all the clean clothes. I don't think washing your hair in all the salty water will give you such beautiful hair. I just don't want to diss anyone's character, but the cast this season seems to be painfully weak and or purely edited. However, according to Jeff on his podcast, it's one of the best seasons so far. In my humble opinion, it's one of the weaker seasons with all this weeping and begging and the backstory for each character with a hard time story for all the cast members. It doesn't seem like Survivor at all. And no shade, but now Brandon and Tim are both gone. So I really don't know why they were cast. Soda, Liz, Ben, and Charlie have actually been displayed as so completely one-dimensional. Maria, she has not had a lot of content outside of the first episode, except for her altercation with Venus in the last episode. She cut the Women's Alliance she had formed quite mercilessly and has just coddled the men on her tribe. And she balked when Venus dared suggest voting a man out, Tevin. Tevin could have had potential, but he only talks about Venus and how he wants to vote her out. It's getting quite tiring. And Venus and Hunter are both interesting. Venus brings the drama and Hunter with all his skills, and I'm waiting to see him hiding in the trees. But I think both of them will be booted off soon enough. Q is getting really bossy and very annoying, and I feel the same with Tevin. And I think the next boot is either going to be Tevin or Q. Now, I'm a tea purist and I love my tea, and I also love chai. Now, I do have coffee when I know I'm not going to get a decent cuppa. However, I love cold coffee with lots of ice in it, and it's best when it's made with instant coffee. So that's all, and now I'm off to have my hot cup of cuppa. Cheers.
Cheers,
All right.
Rashmi. Good stuff. Thanks. Next up, we got an email from Yazz in Northern California. Hello, Joanne and Stacy. This is my first feedback this season. My son Hunter and I, thus we chose Hunter as our USB, have been enjoying this season. While I was so thrilled to see Banu leave, my son enjoyed his antics. Maybe there is something to the generational theory that one of the superfans mentioned. I read that Survivor had been using a professional reality casting person since the inception of the show, and that over the last few seasons they are no longer using her, focusing instead on casting superfans. Not a fan, but looks like that is status quo now, so we might as well get used to it. Like many others, including Joanne, have commented numerous times, I really hate that they aren't given at least rice, and that there is no true merge feast. But in general, I'm happy to be at the merge now. Let's get to the real individual game. My favorite players this season are Tiffany, Kinsey, and surprisingly, Charlie. When he first landed on the beach and was going on about being a Swiftie, I didn't think I would like him, but have really warmed up to him. I really hope one of the girls makes it to the finale. Tiffany seems like such a great player, very strategic, physically strong, and pretty good at the social game too. And I also like Kinsey. Seems like a very genuine and a caring person. Happy for her that she won individual immunity. Okay, now to who is annoying me. Q and Tevin. Dudes think they're running the show and want to boss everyone around like they are Boston Rob. Q can't make a decision and is too wishy-washy despite thinking he is a mob boss. Tiff and Kinsey have done a good job managing him. He doesn't even realize that he's being managed. Not sure how much longer they're going to work with him. Tevin just grates on my nerves. He isn't as great as he thinks he is. Oh, and lest I forget, Venus. She really does not realize how she comes across to others. I appreciated Maria trying to discuss this with her, but it clearly was in one ear and out the other. Hunter and I laughed out loud at Tribal, where she took all the credit for Soda being voted out and patted the other two on the back. Like, good job for following my brilliant plan. I love the shot of Tevin quietly saying no when Soda said to her, "It was you, wasn't it?" And my favorite line of the night was about the crack on Nami, are like oceans. Charlie has had a lot of good insights. That's it for now. Thanks for the great podcast. I don't send in feedback often, but I listen every week and really enjoy. Oh, and I got 6 points this week. Woohoo! Good job, Yazz.
Yes.
Yeah, congrats.
Good to hear from you again.
Next up, we got a call from TitoBurrito.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and all of you other fellow Survivor fans out there. This is TitoBurrito calling from Philadelphia this time. So I did want to take some time. I didn't even comment for the last few episodes because I wanted to make sure that my read on Hunter was as I perceived it initially. And I do have to say, I've had some changes to my feelings. I still think that Hunter was mean-mugging the camera extra hard and not really enjoying himself through the initial parts of the season, but it was probably because he had to carry these people quite literally. And then I'm happy that Charlie hasn't said Taylor Swift's name every 5 seconds in the episodes. That's a positive there. I did want to point on, we've been seeing this Q and Tim quarrel, vendetta-ish thing happening slowly and progressively, and it was throughout almost the whole episode, and it's been through the season throughout their interactions. It was par for the course at this point to see Tim go, especially with Tim isolated a little bit more and not having a huge game player with Ben there to kind of help him out in the situation. They were definitely outnumbered. If I really had to pick someone who I think might win, it's so hard. I still am having so much trouble, but I want to say that I like Tiff. I really think that she is playing a good game. We still have to kind of worry about the Kenzie. Everyone thinks she's a mastermind because that was passed along. But at the same time, I think that the new trio might be Ben, Kenzie, Tiffany. And that would be interesting. And then maybe Ben brings along 1 or 2 other people because of his charisma. I think that might be a final 3 that I'm looking at. I'm not in JSFL because I just don't have the wherewithal or the time to play. But if I were, that would be my final 3 right there. It was sad to see Soda go, but we saw this coming too. From early on, Tevin was saying, I don't know about Soda. And then, of course, that little issue that they've been having where, of course, Venus just wants to instigate with Soda because Soda's not talking to her all the time. Meanwhile, it looks like no one's talking to Venus. Yeah, that was growing. So I saw this also coming with Soda, and I'm sad because she had such a positive light, but also she was great on camera. Let's put it that way. So that's pretty much my input for this week. I liked the episode. I enjoyed the dynamics of Q versus Tim, and hopefully the rest of the season continues with this steam or even more steam. TitoBurrito, out.
Thanks, Tito.
You know, Yazz was talking about when Soda said to Venus, you did that, didn't you? And Tevin's like, no. I think he's going to put a humongous target on his back, fighting with her about that this week. Wanting credit so badly that people might look at him differently and go, we need to get him out or something.
Could be.
Because he's really working hard for jury points and he wants the credit and, I don't know. I think that can put a target on your back.
At this point in the game is not the time. You get credit later if you make it.
Yeah, you do that at the final tribal.
Yeah. But yes, the ego could cause something like that to happen. Tito reminded me of some other things. Tim was still referring to himself in the third person, which is never a good sign in his exit interviews. And he was still annoyed that Q had gone, I guess, behind his back. Q and Hunter had gone and talked to Maria. He couldn't fathom how that was an okay thing for them to do, to check and see if Tim had done his part on the +1 alliance.
Well, I can understand. He didn't like getting caught.
That's really what it was, but he wasn't owning that part of it. He still was saying that was such bad gameplay on their part. The person who didn't make the jury is evaluating their gameplay. All right, thanks, Tito. Next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanna, Stacey, this is Anderson from North Carolina calling for my feedback from Week 7. And if you're wondering what that last part of Next Time on Survivor, it was Soda gasping. So, yeah, I changed my pick to Tiff. I hope she's going to do well. I don't really know. Kenzie was a beast in that challenge. I don't know if I could do that for that long. But Maria was just absolutely focused the whole time. I don't think she wobbled until, the very end. Venus, my old USB, she just keeps screwing up her game on and on and on. And it's not as bad as Banu, but it could get there. Yeah. I don't know who could go next week. I got a 5-point week because, of course, Q and Tim are on the same team. But I think Q has to go. And then Hunter is safe. I know that because he has an item. But I don't know who's going to win immunity. Q, I think, has to go. So until next time, bye.
All right. Thanks, Anderson. Could it be Q that blows up at Tribal and is causing Soda to gasp and cover her mouth? Because, like Anderson says, he gets targeted. That could be, huh?
I do think it's one of three people, Q, Tevin, or Venus. I don't think anybody else would do that.
Oh, I think Tiffany would go off like a volcano.
She would go off. I just don't know if she'd do it in Tribal. I think she'd do it one-on-one. She usually says what she thinks them, but she might, but I don't know.
If it's not going her way, then, or didn't go her way, that...
Or Q said, now, okay, Q could say something, maybe, that really set her off and she lit into it to him.
Yeah.
And just wasn't even, I'm at Tribal's council, don't do this here. So I could see that happen if he instigated it, because she's already so frustrated with him. Or, he was trying to tell her what she should be doing again or something. So, yeah, and Jeff's saying that nothing like this has ever happened.
It does seem, like Anderson was saying, it does seem like it could very well be Venus doing that, his old USB.
Yeah.
So wouldn't put it past her to do something extremely over the top in some desperate attempt
at any time.
Or as a reaction. Yeah, definitely she's chaos. Thanks, Anderson. Good job, buddy. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. It is Friday morning, and I'm calling in my feedback because I know, if I wait, it's going to be just like Wednesday when I listened to the listener feedback show and I waited, and then realized that night that I forgot to update my picks. I don't do that today. As far as leaving my feedback, I'm going to do some picks like right now so that that doesn't happen. I don't remember what my rollover were, but of course I missed out on the chance for, first of all, changing my USB, then also the vote outs, of course, and the safe pick, but also the first on jury bonus. So it was a really bad week to roll over. It was a really bad week. And believe it or not, Julie on Thursday morning said to me, I think I forgot my picks on a big week. So it was a rough week in our house as far as JSFL, but it was a pretty good episode. I like double elimination episodes. It keeps things rolling and moving along. I like that. Tim, you're not the sexiest dad on Survivor. Just gonna leave it at that. Pretty sexy, but come on. This was a funny way to, I guess, announce your exit. And Soda. I like Soda because she's super real. I feel like it's not like, oh, I say what I think. I think that's kind of annoying. I just think that the way she presents, the way she converses with people, even on her way out, she was just so genuine. I think that's a good way of putting it. But not too sorry to see her go. She was kind of fun, comic relief, but there was some gameplay, but it just didn't seem like a huge presence in the game. So Kenzie looking good. Q, I'm over. Tiffany looking really good. I think, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and pick my USB 5 now, and just for kicks, I kind of just want to pick Hunter, especially since there's nothing to lose. But I've been liking watching him, so I want to see what he does. Oh, and I didn't even get to send my feedback last week to tell you where Cancel Christmas came from. But to be honest, I didn't catch it, except that I usually watch with the captions on my phone. And then this week with the title, it didn't even actually be uttered, so anything's going on. Just is annoying. That's all I have to say. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.
All right. Good job, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh, and I'm in a really big time crunch, so I'm going to try to make this work. Maybe a little disorganized, and I'll be jumping all over the place, but this will probably be the only tape I can make. I picked Tim to go this week, but even at the first tribal council, I wasn't sure he was going to be the one voted out, but I do understand the reasons for voting him out. I felt that he always played his game with his cards close to his chest. The +1 alliance was a great opportunity for him. In his exit interview, he said that his number one was Ben, which we saw all along, but he told the other two guys at the journey that it was Maria. So when Q went and talked to Maria, everything fell apart, and Tim was irritated that he did that. Well, if you are in this new alliance, that would be you have to trust these guys. Obviously, he didn't, and he was protecting Ben just as Ben was protecting him. So that when the other tribes talked to them, they were terrible at deception. And that was the other thing with Tim. He never could just say he was going along with somebody else's plan. He had to throw up a counter argument, and doing that with Q isn't going to work. I am glad that we got to see the lighter side of Tim in the immunity challenge, and that to me was about the first time I saw that he had much of a personality, and he seemed like a fun guy, just as Ben is a fun guy. But boy, neither of them, I think, are played a good game. And in the end, Tim says he never was a follower and he was a leader. No, I don't think so. And when Hunter didn't play his idol, I would have played it no matter what. I thought Man of Steel, good for you, Hunter, moves him ahead probably at least 2 more tribal councils. As for tribal council 2, I don't know if Soda was the best vote out for Tevin, but I do understand him placing a vote on Venus just in case there was an advantage played. Like Q, Tevin wanted to make a move, and whether this was the good time to do it or not, we'll find out. But I do like the fact that it looks like Venus thinks she was the person behind the move, which may mean she might trust them more at the next tribal council, and she could be the one eliminated. Anyway, I'm glad to get this in, listen to what the other fans have to say, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, that's good. I like that. If she thinks she's responsible and she's comfortable with that thought moving forward, it could be the big setup for her, and hence the outrage at tribal council. She just got things turned around and going her way.
I think Tim was leading. It's just nobody noticed and they didn't follow except for Ben.
Yeah. He did clarify. I'm going back to what Drew highlighted. He did clarify because he got called out. Mike Bloom called him out on the sexiest dad thing. And he said, well, sexiest dad in the 40s then. So he let him slide with that one, I suppose. Okay. Thanks, David. Good job. Next up, got an email from Thomas in Toronto, Canada.
Well, now that the silly part of earn the merge and let's split in 2 teams and vote 2 people out is over. It's time for the game to begin. Hopefully this season my new USB lasts longer than my second pick from last year. Given the vote at the second tribal council, I wouldn't be surprised if Venus goes home next.
There's another one.
Yep. I think Soda is going to be very entertaining on the jury after seeing the next on Survivor. Also, at this stage, we now have 3 people from each of the original tribes, which I'm not really sure if we have had this for a while now, so it should lead to some interesting tribal councils ahead. All right, thanks, Thomas. But actually, there are 3 original Yanu, 3 original Siga, and 4 original Nami.
He's counting Venus is not in that group because she was never really part of the tribe. That's how he got 333. He just forgot to say the 1.
Okay.
Thanks, Thomas. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and been sick this week. I watched this last episode with fever brain, so I'm not entirely sure what happened, to be honest with you. I know that we did witness probably the best challenge of all time. It was freaking hilarious. Just the way that Charlie completely understood the concept of the alphabet game, but just decided, let's keep the ball rolling. Let's just get Q even more exasperated and just go throw out the B Baltimore one more time. So funny. I've watched that clip probably 10 times. It was great. 10 out of 10, no notes. While I think this was a really exciting episode, why do we split people up so soon after we just merged them? The first merge vote is so important. And you can't qualify because they don't even qualify the mergatory as a real merge. So you can't call that the first merge vote. But you can hardly call this the first merge vote because they're not even really merged. Yeah. I understand if you have to do a double boot at some point in the season because of how the schedule's laid out. But why save it for a couple episodes? I don't know. Maybe do it at like 8 and 7. I don't know. It's just too soon for that. It messes up the flow of things because who knows what would have happened if we had a pure merge vote here. That's frustrating, but other than that, it was interesting for sure. I did not see Soda going. I guess I should have. it does make sense, but I really thought that Venus would be targeted. And immediately when Venus wasn't the target, because I had Venus as my vote out, I was scared for that group because I had Charlie, Tevin, and Soda all safe. I also had Kinsey safe, but she won immunity, so she was actually safe. But when all the heat was on Tevin and Soda, I was, this isn't good. I don't think I'm gonna get it. I don't think I'm getting points here, because I also had Q as the vote out, which I was feeling a little good about, but there just wasn't enough there for that to happen. I did end up switching my USB. I went with Maria. While she's not like a front runner, I don't think, I feel like there's enough there for where I could see her winning. So yeah, I ditched Q, went with Maria, and Q, man, Q's just had a couple of rough episodes, but I gotta be honest, I love it. He's such a polarizing character, because one moment you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's so obnoxious. He's just barking around orders and stuff like that. He's saying, oh yeah, I can beat Hunter in a challenge and stuff like that. Like, he's so over the top with all this stuff and like, oh, vote me out, guys, you know, stuff like that. But then he also has moments at Tribal Council where he's, hey, let's give it up for Kinsey. She's so sweet and all this. She was a beacon of positivity on Yanu when we were all depressed and stuff. He's just so layered, and I love it. He's, yeah, certainly not winning, but I don't think he's a bad he's a bad player, but I don't think he's a bad guy. He's got a lot going on, and I, for one, love it. That's all I got. I will see you all next time.
All right. Thanks, Parker.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad guy either, but he's not playing well. He's not reading his own people, even.
Or he is, but he's not playing well.
Yeah.
Because he's quick to change his mind when Tiffany challenges him, but then he's in that flip-flop syndrome where he's got no conviction, so it doesn't come off well.
And he certainly doesn't fit my idea of what a mob boss would be. Let's off him. Let's like, no, wait, we're going to do this.
There's an extra video of him this week on the Survivor on CBS channel where he's talking about how he's playing 12 hours ahead of everyone. He's been observing, and then he goes through each person and gives a read on them. And it's worth a watch. Obviously, it wasn't significant enough, whatever that means, to be in the episode. But sometimes you get gems in the extras, and I did like that, and I liked seeing how he was thinking about the others. So that was insightful. We didn't get it in the episode because it wasn't significant to whatever story they're telling.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see. So you get a little more background on why he perceives himself that way. If he's that far ahead, he is the big boss.
Yeah, and he thinks he's right about everything, I think, and he's just leading everyone that way.
Until proven otherwise.
Because he knows better.
Yeah.
I mean, he just accepts that.
Yeah, sure.
And I think he's playing hard, maybe too hard. But
the self-anointed leaders especially tend to get whacked at some point. So he's got knowledge of the game, but he seems to be overlooking that one. Thanks, Parker. Hope you're feeling better, bud. Next up, we got a call from Shaheen.
Hi, Joe and Stacey, North Survive fans. Hope everyone is well and safe. I was not a fan of this episode, and I don't think I've been a fan of this two-group split ever. I don't know if I think it started off in the 40s, correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear we had it more entertaining when it was natural progression, didn't game the game, we didn't split our groups up, and we just let the game ride, and we just let that post-merge group just whittle down slowly. And I'm very sure we did have days where 2 people left, but they were from 2 different immunity challenges, 2 different cycles of gameplay, if you will, in the one episode, and they were able to fit that into the one ep. But that was what was regarded as the long rep back in the day, because I think we had 60-minute episodes, and now that they've become 90, obviously now for this new age, I swear the 90-minute episodes were like once a season for that double vote out episode. So for me, it just kind of doesn't feel like it's exactly fair. And I know Survivor's not meant to be a fair game, but I feel like people that have built relationships and strategies and resumes up to a certain point don't deserve to have their game put on the edge of a knife by just a simple draw of rocks to see what group am I in. It's very probabilistic at that point, and your game could go from being someone that's in a really, really powerful position to being voted out. And yeah, I will reiterate, and they will reiterate, they will tell you constantly Survivor's not a fair game. We're going to starve them because to show you that it's a hard game. This is the monster, building this up from Jeff's point of view. But for me, it's just detracts from the gameplay and from the social ties and connections that one builds. And for production too, I just don't think it's a good product. Okay, the people that left to this episode were people that were going to probably leave or were talked about many a times in the last few weeks, and I didn't mind any of them leaving. And hell, I got one of them, I think, on JSFL, I think, and that was just by sheer luck because I didn't put my votes in again. So one more week of that and I'm out. Yeah, I just don't think of a game of this nature. It's very unflattering for a high-end game. It's meant to be a high-end production, and for the last 6 seasons, it's just been throwing ideas at a wall and seeing what's hit and what falls off. This isn't an experimental thing. It's not meant to be anyway. So that's made it a bit of a downer for me. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But I thought Maria did really well out of everyone, to be honest. She came over it really well. Venus took credit for something that she might have not really been involved in. And please tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe Tevin actually voted for Venus and then followed it up with, like, at the end of that episode said no when Venus took credit. So I'm a bit confused. What's he playing at here? Was he involved or was he not involved? Why would he vote for Venus? Anyway, thanks for all you do. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Shaheen.
As Shaheen was talking, I thought, oh no, Jeff's the monster.
Yeah, it has been all along. That was jury management, right? That's what you were thinking. I think you shared that with me when we were talking about it earlier in the week.
Yeah.
The Tevin throwing a vote towards Venus was so that he wasn't one of the ones who voted Soda out. So he's hoping that that'll work in his favor in that regard. Plus, it was an insurance vote.
Yep.
Thanks, Shaheen.
Go make your picks just to get something in.
Yeah, don't let them roll again. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Kim from North Carolina. I really like Hunter, but I feel like he's so strong he can't possibly make it to the end. When they get the chance to take him out, they will. When I heard the recap show, I was surprised that more people had chosen him as a USB. I can totally see keeping him if you chose him initially, but I feel like he's such a danger. But maybe he'll go on a run, and that'll be really neat. I really like Tiffany and Maria. I think Charlie has a chance. I like Kinsey a lot. I went with Maria for my new USB, but I'm wondering if she can survive her awesomeness to the end. It looks to me like Venus and Liz are the candidates to make the final three through their goatness. We'll see if that turns out to be true. I don't see how Q makes it to the end. I just think he's going to really make somebody mad, but we will see. I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, Q is the patience tester.
Yes.
And this is, he serves the purpose of, can you put your annoyances aside? We'll see how long Tiffany and Kinsey and others can manage that.
Well, and Silent Charlie thinks he needs to go too.
Already on Charlie's list for sure. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy, and all Survivor Super fans. It's Justin from Michigan. I thought this was a solid episode for being the kind of split group tribal that most of us don't like. Almost had it right. I had Tim and Venus going, and I really think that group would have been smarter to get out Venus rather than Soda. I think Venus is such an agent of chaos. She's always going to try to do her own thing, force her own agenda. Whereas Soda, yes, she's more likable. Yes, she's you don't want to sit next to her at the end, but she's at least going to be a reliable alliance member. So I think they made a mistake. Venus is going to blindside somebody. Venus, if you keep her around long enough, she's going to force her own way and take credit for things that she has parts in that she might not be masterminding like she did this week with Soda. Soda is now the mayor of Ponderosa and thinks that Venus orchestrated this blindside. So now Venus has a lot of power for anybody who goes on the jury, especially from that other group who she's going to hear from Soda that, wow, yeah, Venus really got me. So I think they need to get Venus out. I also think my USB-Q is in trouble. He's making too many waves, being a little bit too in control. I don't really buy that he's throwing challenges. I know he's a college athlete, played in the NFL for a training camp or so he definitely has more in the tank than what he's been showing, but I think that him and Hunter are more comparable than what he sees in his mind. And even Charlie, who I don't think anybody else knows, that he was also a college athlete for cross country. So I think Q thinks a little bit more of himself, both in terms of Survivor gameplay and athleticism, and that's going to bite him, especially if Kenzie and Tiff decide to jump the Q ship. So I think I'm going to have either Venus or, I don't know, I might just stick with Venus going home, because I don't know who else might be in trouble. They could just keep going for Segas, go for Maria. I don't know. But now we're at the exciting point where everybody's voting together. There's only going to be one immunity, presumably. I am looking forward to the home stretch of the game. Everybody have a good week. Thanks.
Thanks, Justin. Good job.
Yeah, I think Venus could, of course, go at any time. She would be an easy vote off. But I think that she also now could go deep in the game just because nobody wants to work with her and they can just discount her. It's like, man, it's not important to get her out. We need to get somebody that's a real threat out.
Like Kim was saying, she's a goat now. So
yep, absolutely.
That seems to be the general assessment. It'll be interesting to see.
So they're like, okay, if we can handle her annoying us, then she's not important in our scheme of things right now.
Wonder how Maria will publicly handle Venus taking credit for getting them on board to vote out Soda. How's Maria going to manage that?
I thought Maria has stayed really pretty calm, but I felt like Venus really did quite annoy her. And because she really said a lot of things that I don't think she normally would have if she hadn't been that frustrated.
Maria's responses weren't incredibly coherent either. I didn't think that she made a really clear case for why she was having an issue with Venus. She said, "You're coming at me. You come at people."
And I don't respond well to that.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed to lack the clarity I was expecting from her. That she was going to offer some deeper insight about it.
And how she had, even when Q was questioning her and she was realizing that, Tim didn't tell me, Tim did. She didn't verbalize any of that. She listened. She took it in.
That part was well.
Yeah, all that was really good, but I feel like she really veered away from that with Venus. Mm-hmm. And that's what surprised me.
Yeah.
Is that I could see her real emotion in her interaction. Whereas before, she really hold that back and just kind of keep it to herself and ponder it.
She was collecting information while she was having that discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
But I don't think she was doing that with Venus. I think Venus
pushed a button.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. All right, thanks, Justin. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, now we're talking. So far, the season's been like the start of a NASCAR race with a pace car in front and everyone staying in their lanes. Now the pace car's gone and the starter has waved their flag. My other observations. Venus channeled Inspector Clouseau when she tried to determine who voted for her. Yeah, definitely had some Pink Panther vibes there, didn't it? Rose syndrome. No matter how dire things are, Charlie comes out smelling like a rose. Every time someone says Nui Nui, the classic rock song Louie Louie plays in my head. Ben had a panic attack. He had dreamed he was stuck in an elevator with Muzak playing. Someday, the game will reach its final form, a series of journeys and searches to get scratch tickets. At the end, players will reveal their prizes and someone gets $1 million. Yeah, it's definitely a whole lot of random this week. It's like too much randomness. Some's good, but that much is a bit too much. Liz finally ate, and then her face was red and blotchy. Did she have the allergen platter? That's good. Yeah, I guess I did notice something looked a little off when she was there on the beach talking to Tevin. Let us observe several moments of silence for the legendary departed Jelinski. He's definitely being honored by this group. I like Hunter's idea of elapsed time moments. I wish long drives worked like that. Yeah. What's up with Tim's definition of what's up? Yeah, that was an education, like Prope said. During the immunity challenge, the role of Charlie was played by Charlie Sheen. Okay. Was Tevin practicing kung fu during the immunity challenge? I don't think there'll be a Kinsey's necklace dance challenge on TikTok. Okay. I have no TikTok context, so I don't know what that is. I hate that Tim missed the jury because of the double tribal council order. It just seems mean. Q hates quitters, but isn't throwing a challenge a form of quitting? Yes. Yes, it is. Old Sega Beach looked like a dorm room at the end of the semester. Tim is a college coach. Q played college football. No wonder they butt heads so much. Culpepper math. Hunter can win 10 immunities in a row with only 6 challenges left. After the feast, Charlie got cranky. I think he needed a nap. Soda shouldn't use a British accent. She'll have to change her name to Fizzy Drink. This week, Tevin spoke in chicken, but nobody answered. Mark's still in Cambodia. Remember Mark the chicken? Mm-hmm. Tiffany can see through Tim. He must be a window. Ben is a secret agent of chaos. Where's Maxwell Smart when you need them?
Him.
Hunter wants to be the 4th Yanu. Is that like being the 5th Beatle? Q's method of choosing a target reminds me of a dog's. Hey, look, a squirrel. In real life, Kinsey's job is building human connections. Social red flag much? Indeed. You gotta watch out for those hairdressers. I don't think the Q show will draw big ratings on Fiji's Nui network. That's just fun to say. Hunter can finally relax. Soda took the camp songs with her. Maria, it's tough to have deep conversations when you give one-word responses. Liz took a big chance leaving her bag back at camp. Her EpiPen was in it. Venus is a mactor. She's hoping to land a meaty role in a soap opera. Ben is an entertainment monkey for parties. Where can I rent one? Venus took credit for Soda's exit. Stopped clock syndrome. You know that one? Mm-mm. A stopped clock's right 2 times a day.
Oh, that's right.
In the next round of budget cuts, the Doghouse Challenge will move to Jeff's pool. The Soda-Venus dynamic is confusing. Either they're siblings who battle but love each other, or Venus is trying to get Soda's vote at Final Tribal. Next time, Hunter has a treehouse, Q is a mob boss, and Jeff has never seen anything like this. Does Q finally stick with a target for more than 5 minutes? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna, Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanna and Stacey. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
Okay, so we had our big question of the week, which is, did Venus orchestrate Soda's blindside?
Yes, this was something that Jade and I have been going round and round and round, trying to figure out from people's facial expressions, different conversations, trying to recall everything. Went back and watched some things, but from the edit, it kind of looks like it could be that Venus got Maria, Charlie, and Liz to vote with her. And then, yeah, could be true, especially with Charlie being on the chopping block. And it was a clear way for him to stay. So I think that's why Maria and Charlie are working with her. And then Liz already wanted to vote Soda up.
Yeah. And I think we landed on, though, we think that Tevin was ultimately the person that told Maria and Charlie and Liz, because that's what we saw in the edit initially, and that he didn't write Soda's name down because they had some kind of pact, like never write each other's name down, and not because he wasn't aware. And we think ultimately, though, it was Charlie and Maria who made the final decision and were the drivers of the vote. That's kind of our ultimate theory. But obviously, we have no idea.
Yes, and we'd love to hear some of your theories. Yeah. Soda is the first on the jury, so it could be that jury management that Tevin is going for.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what do you think of your new USB?
My new USB is Tevin. Not sure. I think it depends on how he's playing. I wasn't sure if he's playing as strong of a social game as I initially thought, but we'll see how he does when they come back together as a tribe, if his dynamics have changed with them as well.
Yeah, I picked Maria. I'm very happy with my new pick. She won individual immunity. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what she was saying about like the getting gussied up wearing her red necklace thing, because people were talking to her, so I don't know. But apart from that weird comment at Tribal, which maybe we can just blame on hunger, I think she's doing pretty well, and I'm looking forward to seeing her continue to play. What do you think's going to happen next week?
Next week, Hunter has his spy nest.
Yeah, like Tony.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope that doesn't get him into trouble.
Yeah. Maybe he's just playing around.
Yeah. Entertaining.
You think Q might be in trouble?
Yes, I think Q possibly is in trouble. I think Kenzie and Tiffany might have had their fill.
Could be too early. I don't know. But I do think that the Nami Siga lines are finally down. So I hope we see some dynamic gameplay next week.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I still think Tevin called that shot on Soda. And we saw Maria and Charlie, neither one of them were receptive to Venus at all. So I have a hard time thinking that she truly ended up swaying them somehow that we didn't see. So I still think it was Tevin, and like you said, I think it was Tevin doing some jury management with throwing the vote on Venus instead of voting for Soda.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't see her having any effect on them unless there was something that happened that we didn't get to see.
Soda was the only one that we were ever shown that, well, I guess a little bit with Randon, but Soda's the one that we've been told and shown to some degree that was willing to spend any time with Venus. And it was enough to cause Tevin to be really cautious, even more cautious about Soda. So no one's really had that kind of a connection. Randon saw Venus as maybe an option because he saw how isolated that she was. She just was not included, couldn't click with that tribe at all. But Soda actually invested more time than anyone else in her. Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. It's Jeremiah here with my feedback for this week's episode. Let me just say, I really enjoyed this episode. And no, it has nothing to do about them splitting them into two groups. How's that, Stacey? I didn't say tribes. Thank you for correcting us on it. It's true. They're not tribes. But, when you break them into two groups, then you ask them to vote out someone from that group. It's kind of like a temporary tribe. And like you all said, it's a vocabulary. We can't help ourselves that whenever something like that happens, we say tribe. It's just part of the nature of this game and this show. But anyway, so no, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, I've already stated my feelings about this. I'm with you, Stacey. It doesn't make any sense to me. We go through the whole earning your way to the merge, and then, of course, we immediately split them up again. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, whatever. No, what I loved about this episode is the way it was edited. We got a really large amount of time of this 90 minutes put towards all the game talk, and I really loved that. The back and forth, the strategy, Q, going one way and then changing his mind, and then just getting into the minds of everyone leading up to the votes was just really intriguing, really fun. That's what I want to see from these 90 minutes. I just really enjoyed that so much. So yeah, fantastic episode. I dare I say probably the best episode so far this season. Now what's really funny is I was very busy this Wednesday, and I actually forgot to make my picks. Yes, it was about, I think it was like 4:40, 4:45, something like that, Central or Pacific time. And I go, oh my gosh, I didn't make my picks. I was so mad that I didn't do that. But boy, talk about lucky. I got 6 points because I had Soda from last week. So I had Soda from last week. I didn't have anybody safe that went home, so that was good, and I wound up getting 6 points. So talk about just walking right into something. I tell you what, I really got lucky there. And in case you're wondering, of course I held on to Tiffany for 24 points. When I left my feedback last week, I wasn't implying that I was actually going to do that. I was just saying if I had to switch, or if I was going to switch, it would be Kinsey at that point. But no, I wasn't going to switch Tiffany. I mean, there's no reason not to consider that Tiffany isn't going to be potentially one of our winners. I definitely think that Tevin had a very strong episode. He's one to for sure watch. But we'll see. Time will tell us as things go on. And as far as next week's concerned, well, obviously Venus is definitely in trouble. Wow, that girl is terrible at the game, isn't she? And then probably either her or Q. Q is on his way out the door, too. He's playing too hard. All right, so I'm picking one of those two next week is probably what I'm going to go with. All right, well, that's it for me. Next time you guys hear from me, I'll be a grandfather for the first time. I'm heading out to Missouri as my daughter is getting ready to give birth to our first grandbaby. So until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. And that was one of the craziest, most confusing strategy episodes I have ever seen. And before I go any further, I just want to repeat that I don't like this twist of merging all of the tribes and then immediately splitting them up again. So at the beginning of the episode, Venus thinks that it's Soda who voted for her, and Charlie confesses that it was actually him. Not a smart move on Charlie's part. However, there was Q again lecturing yet another Survivor player on the proper way to play the game. Or I should clarify, on the proper way to play Q's game. I think I'm going to coin a new term, and it's going to be Q-splaining. And we'll see more of that a little bit later. But I was very happy to see that Charlie was wise to what was going on with Q, and he wants to get him out. Please, Charlie, please, please, please get Q out of the game, sooner rather than later. I chose Hunter as my new USB, which is funny because Hunter was one of my least favorite first impressions before the game began. Just goes to show that you can't judge a book by its cover. I think that Kenzie is the nicest person in the world. It takes a lot of compassion to be woken up in the middle of the night and to be present for a person in need. And I typed that in my notes on Wednesday, but I say that as a person who just spent all night up with my son having very serious sinus issues. I don't like the new immunity necklace. I don't usually feel this way, but it's just a little disturbing to look at. I don't like all those beads. It looks a little... It would take too long to really describe the specifics of it, but that is just the thing that I don't like to look at. And we'll just leave it at that. So at the immunity challenge, my two vote-offs, which were Venus and Q, were on two different groups, so that was good for me. I thought it was so funny that no one knew how to play that game that Q wanted to play. But I was thinking to myself, even though I know how to play that game, that's the last thing that I would want to do when I'm concentrating on trying to stay on top of a floating doghouse in the middle of the ocean. And Q claims that he jumped off of the floating doghouse in the challenge to test his alliance. Okay, Q, I believe you. You don't test the strength of your alliance by putting yourself on the chopping block. You test your alliance by putting somebody else there and see if they vote them out, like you want them to. And Q is very defensive about the fact that Hunter has been outperforming him in challenges. He suggests that it's because he hasn't been trying, on purpose. Okay, Q, I believe you. And at the first tribal council, Q starts off by Q-splaining, giving Jeff a little bit too much information. And I liked the purple group so much. They were giving each other so many nice compliments. They were just so cute. And I wanted Q to go rather than Tim, but Tim was where the tide was moving. At the second tribal council, I think that Liz is like Q. She was doing a little bit of Q-splaining. She was saying a little bit too much. And Soda leaving was a shock. I thought she wasn't going to make it to the end, but I didn't see her being first on the jury. I even lost a safe point on her this week. Anyway, I think it was a big mistake overlooking Q. He's not a harmless player. He's aggressive and abrasive, and I think they need to get him out sooner rather than later. Next week is going to be something, and I can't wait to see it. Till next week.
Excellent. Thanks, Jen.
I love that, Jen. Q-splaining. That's perfect. And why would he need to punish Charlie? Why does Charlie have to pay for revealing that to Venus? And he's not even in Q's alliance.
It messed with Q's plans, though. He wanted that uncertainty. He wanted that thought out there that Soda had done it.
Okay. But that's perfect. I love Q-splaining.
Good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here to say that I love the episode because of all that went down. For the record, like Stacy, I don't really care for, shall we call them, team sports after we've had a merge. I mean, why did we merge then? And didn't we merge early this season when compared to past seasons? If so, again, why the merge? And that's just me being a glass half empty type person, I guess. But here's the glass being half full. Boy, did it cause some interactions, huh? And that's why I love this show. I love watching how people react to one another. So then, Soda and Venus, or should I say Venus confronting Soda with the so-called obvious truth. Well, if I were Soda, I would have snorkily but indirectly asked for an apology. That said, Charlie did kinda screw up confessing to Venus. I mean, why bother? Let it rub her raw so she can be even more annoying and be an even easier target to be voted off. It's not like she's adding anything to the game, except for maybe in her mind. And then Q taking Charlie to task about that confession? Hey, it was his decision to make, not yours. I think Q's biggest problem is that Tiff and Kenzie sort of let him believe that he was the leader of Yanu, and now he thinks that because everyone's merged, he gets to keep that imaginary leadership position. As for him underperforming on purpose, yeah, right. He's just trying to save face. His girls know all about him, but I think he's going to get on everyone's nerves the exact same way that Tim got on his. And you know where that gets you. Oh, and his pretty words to Kenzie? Yeah, that was all schmooze. He's trying to keep her close, but I'm sure she's still a huge target in his sights. So, Soda's gone, and I'm a bit bummed about that because I did like her. Tevin was obviously upset because she was playing a better social game than him, but that's all the game that Tevin seems to be bringing to the plate. So now that he's declared social skills to be such a threat, he'd best be careful and tone things down. The simple fact is that his jealousy over Soda now places him as the top social threat, so look out. I am shocked that my USB Maria voted for Soda over Venus, especially when she said she couldn't work with her. I just assumed that after the two Venus encounters she was referring to her. Maybe she can relate a bit to the youth and inflated self-importance that a young and naive Venus brings to the game? I don't know. And Maria, it's great to win challenges, but that's when the people start to look at you differently. They congratulate you, they clap you on the back, but what you don't see is that target they stuck there that you handed them. Now, I was worried about Hunter seeing him in the tree in the previews, but I had looked at his Facebook page and stumbled on a picture of him smiling from probably the same tree, judging by the wounds on his legs, so maybe it's a game of hide and seek or something? I'm just hoping here. So, next to go, I'm thinking either Ben or Q. Q helped break up the Six Alliance when he voted for Tim, so if he was so Six-focused, he probably should have tried to throw the vote elsewhere. But who knows what all went down there, so yeah, for my money, it's either Ben or Q to go next. Oh, and I'm shocked at how much I like Kenzie, who I've been calling Mackenzie now thanks to, well, never mind. And there you have it. I guess that's it for me. Everyone take care. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Glad I could help, Paul. I don't know why I want to either. Oh, well. I think Charlie is really doing well at playing like he's not a threat. He's sweet. And that's why he could not tell Venus he wrote her name down. He just couldn't handle it, which makes everyone think he's not a good game player. It just helps him stay in the background, I think.
It certainly seemed to have worked on Soda, too. She was quite fond of him.
Yep.
Tevin even stated that he was, too.
He loves us.
Didn't see any need to target him.
Yep, and he's so sweet, and he's loyal. It's like, okay. And he'll do anything we tell him to, because you know, he's not in the majority. And I thought, I think he's playing a smarter game. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I'm starting to look at him a little differently and thought,
We got evidence with this episode that he had been making some social connections, given that response from Soda and Tevin. Whereas in the previous one with Mariah, it didn't seem like he had been making connections.
And he's young, he's a big guy, and yet he's not seen as even a physical threat.
Well,
he really is kind of staying
not with Hunter and Q around.
Yeah, but you know,
previously Tim
again can hide and be under the radar. So I expect to see more from him from now on. Maybe
Tim offered him some cover, I think. So that's gone now. We'll see.
Yeah, at least I hope so. I'd like to see that. I like him too.
Yeah, like Paul was saying, I think based on what the promo's saying, it is a game of hide and seek. So
an actual game.
Yeah, that they're playing, since they like downtime games are They like games to help pass the time, rather. I mean, so.
And you think maybe that's all it is with, because we see somebody else hiding in a bush, too.
Kinsey was hiding in the tall grass. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all. I enjoyed everything everybody had to say.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let's circle back and do that JSFL update now that we got the numbers this time.
I can do that. Hatter is now in first place with 34 points.
Nice.
There were 14 USBs lost for Tim and 7 for Soda. 49 people lost a safe point for Tim and 86 for Soda.
We definitely did for Soda.
Yep. 113 people earned a vote-off point for Tim.
Me.
Yeah. Because I talked about it, and then we swapped. Okay, never mind. And 59 people earned 2 points for vote-off and first on jury for Soda.
A lot of lucky people who let their picks roll. That's funny.
At least 2.
Yeah.
Okay, the side challengers. With 31 points, Brandon is in first place.
Definitively, yep.
Yep. With 30 points, Jeremiah and Robert. 29 points, Drew, Elisa Ray, Rebecca, and Stacy.
Rebecca jumped up 2 spots out of the basement.
Yes, she did.
That 7-point week was huge.
With 28, Justin, and the new residents of the basement with 27 points, Chris and Parker.
All right. You guys hold it all down there. Hey, we want to say a big thanks to everybody who took time to share your thoughts and predictions today. We enjoyed it. We appreciate it. Love hearing from all of you. We also want to give a big thanks to Scott for his donation. We greatly, greatly appreciate that.
And if you play in JSFL, remember to make your Week 8 picks for 1 person voted off and 4 people who you think will be safe at the end of the episode. There is only 6 more weeks. Man, I hope I can manage my picks toward the end. You know, I don't have more than 2 on, but I got 2 on a lot of people, so I got to be more strategic now.
Yeah.
Because you can only choose them 6 times. And
total.
So,
yep.
And there's 6 weeks. I got to really.
Yep.
I may have
Feeling
to
the
take
pinch already?
a few more risks to try to.
Play bold. Play bold, I say.
Yeah. We know where that's got me. Well, anything else you want to say about the episode?
Looking forward to the next one. This one's done. Moving on. We'll be back on Wednesday with our next recap. Have a good one.